I grew up in the north of England, so I'm not sure if it's been a northern girl that leads me to turn towards beer more than other drinks, but I do, on all seriousness, I hold a lot of fond associations with beer. So growing up in the north of England, I used to do a lot of hill walking, and there's nothing more rewarding or beautiful than a pint of black sheep bitter at the end of a 4 hour big hill trek. So I've always had really fond associations with it, and it's always been a really large part of my repertoire.
And would you call yourself a beer geek?
I call myself a beer pervert. Some people say to me, "Oh, you must be a real beer snob then, having to taste a lot of beers and knowing a little about beer." But I think, and I always say to them, actually, anyone who says that to me, there's no such thing as a beer snob, and if there is, I tell them that they're in the wrong business, because actually beer is and should be accessible to all men.
So you are now a beer sommelier.
Uh-huh.
Is that the highest you can get as a beer geek or beer pervert?
I think it's quite a new accreditation, actually. It's worthwhile noting. I think it's only been around for about 18 months in the UK, but I think it's worthwhile noting that although I have been accredited with the title of beer sommelier, and I'm hugely proud of it, there are other ways that you can learn a lot about beer, and that's just drinking it and having a good passion, and there are lots of people out there that have got that. I'm just lucky enough to have been able to apply that in a way that's given me the accreditation.
I understand you're only number 7, or the 7th woman.
I think 7, yeah.
In the world to receive this beer sommelier. Why do you think so few women are interested in beers on the level that you are?
It's a subject that I talk about with a little reluctance, because I'm quite an idealistic person, and I like to think that everybody comes to the table on the same footing. But there is one reason why I feel that it is important to speak up as a woman in beer, and that's to try and counteract some of the damage that irresponsible marketing has done to the association of women in beer over time, particularly in the 1980s and 1990s. So there are some American products that had naked women adorned over bottles of beer. I'm not sure that's going to encourage many women to drink. There are many examples in the UK of that happening as well, around about the same time. So I think that's why it's important that there are good role models for women to have in beer.
Was it hard to pass the test?
It was quite difficult. I'm a bit of a swot, so if I get a task, I'll sort of tend to go at it hell for leather. And my partner actually said at the time, who's also he brews, he has his own brew pub, and he judges across the world in beer competitions, and I admire him greatly in terms of his knowledge, and he turned around to me and said, "I don't think I would do this exam because I've seen the amount of preparation that you're doing, and it seems like hard work." So I probably prepared and read a lot. I think that's just in my nature, because it was hugely important to me. It was important to us as a brewery to try and get someone with that. So I did prepare a lot.
How did you celebrate the title?
With a beer. With a beer. Yeah. And then that was it. And then I finished with beer for the day, because the exam actually had, there was around 30, I think, beers that I had to blind taste test. And obviously you're only having a sip, but, they sort of mount up. So I wasn't really prepared for much beer drinking after that. But yeah, I did have a number of beers to taste that day.